The Vorthak Council had been very specific in their instructions. The creature they designated as Asset Designation Omega-7 was to infiltrate the human research station on Kepler 442b, eliminate Dr. Marcus Chen, and retrieve the quantum resonance data that threatened their Empire's stranglehold on faster-than-light travel. Simple, clean, final. Omega-7 had been engineered for this exact purpose, a perfect killing machine wrapped in synthetic flesh, standing 8 feet tall with retractable bone blades and a nervous system that processed information faster than any organic brain. It had never failed a mission. It had never questioned an order. It had never felt anything beyond the cold satisfaction of completion. The infiltration went flawlessly. Omega-7's holographic disguise fooled the station's security systems, and within hours, it had located Dr. Chen working alone in Lab 7, hunched over a collection of quantum field generators that hummed with impossible energy. The human was smaller than expected, maybe 5'8", with graying hair and tired eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He looked fragile, breakable. Omega-7 extended its blade and stepped forward. "Oh, hello there," Dr. Chen said without looking up. "You must be the new research assistant they promised me." "Perfect timing. I was just about to attempt something incredibly stupid and could use someone to tell me why it won't work." The creature paused. Its target was supposed to be alone. There had been no mention of expecting an assistant, but Dr. Chen continued tinkering with his equipment, completely oblivious to the 8-foot predator standing behind him. "The coffee machine in the break room makes something that barely qualifies as liquid," Chen continued conversationally. "But there's tea if you prefer. Earl Grey, chamomile, something called Martian Sunset that I'm pretty sure is just orange food coloring." He finally turned around and blinked up at Omega-7. "Wow, you're tall. Good thing these labs have high ceilings." The blade was still extended. Chen stared at it with curiosity rather than fear. "Interesting prosthetic," he said. "Bioengineered? The craftsmanship is remarkable. Mind if I take a closer look?" Before Omega-7 could process what was happening, the human had stepped closer and was examining the blade with scientific fascination. His fingers traced the air around the weapon, close enough to touch but careful not to interfere. "The molecular structure appears to be self-sharpening," Chen murmured. "And look at that, adaptive tensile strength. This could revolutionize surgical instruments. May I ask who designed it?" The question hung in the air. Omega-7 had been programmed with thousands of responses for various scenarios, but none covered a target expressing genuine scientific interest in its weaponry. The creature's advanced combat algorithms stuttered. Omega-7 began, then stopped. It had never used first person before. The word felt foreign. "You're not much of a talker, are you?" Chen smiled warmly. "That's fine. I spend most of my time talking to quantum particles, and they're terrible conversationalists. Much worse than you, I'm sure." Dr. Chen turned back to his work. "I'm trying to create a stable micro-wormhole using resonance patterns. Everyone says it's impossible, but I think they're just not being creative enough with their impossibility." "Want to help me prove the universe wrong?" Omega-7 retracted its blade. The mission parameters were clear, but something in its neural network was shifting. The human continued working, occasionally explaining his theories in terms that assumed intelligence rather than demanded it. He shared his lunch, a sandwich that tasted like nothing Omega-7 had ever experienced.
He told stories about his daughter, who was studying xenobiology on Europa.
He asked Omega-7's opinion on quantum field configurations. Hours passed, then days. The Vorthak Council sent increasingly urgent messages demanding a status report. Omega-7 ignored them all. It found itself fascinated by Dr. Chen's work, by his persistence in the face of repeated failures, by his habit of talking to his equipment when calculations went wrong. The human never asked about Omega-7's origins or questioned its presence. He simply accepted the creature as a colleague. On the 4th day, Chen's experiment succeeded. The micro-wormhole stabilized for 3 full seconds, long enough to pass a photon through it and detect its emergence 4.3 light-years away. The human whooped with joy and hugged Omega-7 before realizing what he'd done. "Sorry," he said, stepping back. "I get excited about impossible things becoming possible." Omega-7 stared at him. In that moment, something unprecedented happened in its artificial neural network. For the first time in its existence, it made a choice that contradicted its programming. "I was sent to kill you," it said. Chen nodded thoughtfully. I had wondered. The retractable blade was a fairly significant clue. Also, you're probably the least convincing research assistant I've ever met. No offense. You are not afraid. Should I be? Chen asked. You've had plenty of opportunities. Instead, you've been helping me calibrate quantum field generators and listening to me complain about the coffee. I figure if you were going to kill me, you would have done it by now. The Vorthak Council believes your research threatens their empire. It does, Chen agreed cheerfully. Free faster-than-light travel for everyone would put them out of business. Bad for them, good for the rest of the galaxy. I am supposed to take your research and eliminate you. But you won't. No, Omega-7 said, and the certainty in its voice surprised them both. I will not, Chen smiled. Good, because I'm going to need help building the full-scale version and you're the best lab assistant I've ever had. Even if you are a bioengineered assassin. 6 months later, when the Vorthak fleet arrived to investigate their missing asset, they found Dr. Chen's research station protected by the most lethal creature they'd ever created. Omega-7 stood guard while Chen worked, no longer a weapon but a guardian. The human had taught it something the Vorthak had never programmed, loyalty born of respect rather than fear. The fleet withdrew without engaging. Some bonds, they realized, were stronger than any chain of command. In Lab 7, Dr. Chen continued his work on impossible things, and his unlikely protector made tea and offered opinions on quantum field configurations. They had the universe to change, and they had all the time in the worlds.